Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I am the Night Walker, and it's it's been coming. It's been incoming for a while, and I've been wanting to talk about this movie, and I figure it's about time to go ahead and just you know get it out there. Let's talk about it. The movie I want to talk about is 1994's Natural Born Killers, starring Woody Harrelson, Juliette Lewis, Robert Downey Jr., Tommy Lee Jones, uh, many others. So yeah, I remember when this movie first came out, and I have to admit, I was really taken aback by it. It was not what I expected it to be. Um, I expected it to be kind of more like a drama, kind of a serious, just like I said, more of a drama, just kind of a more dramatic, kind of like a film about two serial killers and things like that. And of course, this movie is completely different from what you think it's going to be. This movie is incredibly wild. For those of you who don't know what this movie is, it's the story of Mickey and Mallory, played by Woody Harrelson and Juliette Lewis. Um, the movie. Oh, I'm going to give away some spoilers here, so if you haven't seen the movie, just know there are going to be some spoilers in this review. So the movie opens, you got Mickey and Mallory, and they're sitting in a diner, and um, they're just doing their thing, kind of just whatever. And the waitress is eh, kind of rude to Mallory, and so Mallory is just like whatever. So she's putting money in a jukebox. She just wants to dance, and Mickey is just having fun watching her. He's having some key lime pie and a glass of milk and everything else. Just and everybody just kind of chill, doing their thing. Nothing going on. Well, then this truck, these three guys show up, and uh the one I remember is James. Oh, what was his name? I forget the actor's last name, but he was the one from the beginning of Silver Bullet. Rango beer, Rango time, Arnie, and so yeah. Oh god, James. I can't remember. James Gammon. That was his name, James Gammon. But yeah, so they go in, and apparently, they're like three redneck guys, and one of these guys sees Mallory, and he decides. Well, one guy's out working on the truck because the truck is overheating. James Gammon and the other guy, they go into the diner, and this one guy, he sees Mallory dancing and all this, and so he decides he's going to go and try to put the moves on her. Never mind the fact that Mickey's sitting right there at the bar, so I guess they can't put two and two together that maybe she might be there with Mickey, whatever. So he goes, and he's like making lewd gestures with his tongue and all this kind of stuff. And meanwhile, James Gammon is sitting at the bar with Woody Harrelson, Mickey, and he's all talking about, oh, what a sweet piece of meat, ain't it? And and Woody Harrelson's like, her name is Mallory, and he's like, whatever, who gives a shit? I just call it pussy. So this, you can see, like, and there's a lot of visual imagery in here that kind of gives you an indication, like, because there's like this thing, it sets off in Mickey's mind, that he's getting mad, and he's getting his anger up, and he's about ready to explode. And then so Mallory's trying to dance. This guy keeps bothering her, and she's she's like, "Are you flirting with me?" And so she turned, and she just starts waylaying this guy out. And I will say this, okay, the soundtrack to this movie is actually really fantastic. This has a great soundtrack to it. I have the soundtrack. I have it on CD, have it on my, my laptop, my phone, my tablet, all that stuff. Great soundtrack to this movie. They're playing the song "Shitless" by L7, and so Mallory just starts laying this guy out. I mean, she just bashing this guy apart. And so James Gammon gets up. He's ready to. Well, that's when Mickey jumps up, and he's all like, just because my woman's mopping up the floor with your buddies, no reason for you to join in. And cuts up James Gammon, and basically it's all chaos. And that's pretty much the name of the game in this movie. It's chaos. So and it's crazy, it's wild. But I think the only problem with this movie is that this movie feels very like late 80s, early 90s MTV feel. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of like there's a lot of like really like uh really specifically designed shots. There's cartoon imagery, stuff that would make you think of like early 1990s like MTV cartoon shows where they have like liquid television in the head and all these kind of strange things and so I would say that's probably about as you can even see like right there like the cartoon imagery and stuff like that. And I think that's kind of like the one thing that could really hurt this movie is that in a little bit of a way, this movie really is a product of its time, and it kind of feels a little bit dated, even though some of the messages and some of the issues addressed in this movie still do apply today. And but anyway, then we get done with the massacre at the diner. You get your opening credit sequence, and you realize then you're in for oh my god, you're in for a wild ride. And then we go into the backstory of how Mickey and Mallory first met, and of all the people to play Mallory's dad, you get Rodney Dangerfield. I mean, don't get me wrong, Rodney Dangerfield's a great comedian, may he rest in peace, one of the greatest comedians ever. But he ends up playing Mallory's dad, and his whole thing is he's sexually abusing Mallory, and he's you got Edie McClurg playing Mallory's mom, and she's constantly being abused, and she knows that Mallory's being abused, and yet she does nothing about it. So, so she wants to go to a concert. Rodney Dangerfield tells her, "No, you can't go. Get your little ass upstairs to take a shower because I'm coming up to see how clean you are and all this stuff." And so, Mickey shows up. Turns out he's like a delivery man. He's, delivering meat for Rodney Dangerfield's character. I think his name is Ed. But anyway, that's when he meets Mallory and he starts, chatting her up and flirting with her, telling her, that, it's like, do you always dress this beautiful or are you just waiting for me? And she's like, why would I dress for like this for someone I don't know? And it's like, maybe it's fate that told you to do it. Do you believe in fate? And so they run off together. And of course, Mallory's dad's not very happy about this. So he ends up calling the cops on Mickey, having him put in jail. And they're in jail, and Mallory's telling Mickey that that the dad is gonna move him away, and so he's like, "I'm gonna get out of here," and so and he does, actually rides into a tornado, gets on a horse. They're out, riding horses and stuff like that. So Mickey sees his chance, pulls a guard off of a horse, goes, gets on the horse, and actually rides into a tornado. And then he goes, he shows up at the house, and he and Ed, they get into a struggle, and Mallory, gets, all the anger and rage and everything that she felt at her dad for abusing her all those years comes out. And so they kill him. Then they go and, very gruesomely, they tie the mother to the bed and they set her on fire. And the turns out Mallory has a younger brother named Kevin, who actually is Oliver Stone's son. Actually had his son play that character. And they decide to let him live. And so then Mickey and Mallory start going on their killing spree. And, but then we find out that one of the biggest things is this movie really is about how the media treats serial killers. And that's really personified in the character of Wayne Gale, played by Robert Downey Jr., who, that's the thing, it's like now everybody knows Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. He's Tony Stark, he's Iron Man and stuff. For me, Robert Downey Jr., this is the stuff I know him from. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm glad that he, Robert Downey Jr., I'm glad he got cleaned up. I'm glad he, got the role of Iron Man and he is able to, because the guy is a talented actor. He really is. He's a good talent. And it really was sad that for those years, he was having all those problems, drug addiction, problems with the police, everything else. But, it's good to see that he got clean and, got the role of Iron Man, is playing a lot of other roles, and he's getting back up there. He shows everybody that, he is an actor of worth and potential. Because for the longest time, Robert Downey Jr. was just an actor who was just kind of one of Hollywood's biggest jokes. So, but anyway, going back. So Wayne Gale, he's, doing these specials on Mickey and Mallory, and it's clear that, Wayne has no respect for anybody. He has no respect for his audience. He has no respect for the killers. He has no respect for the victims or anybody. It's all just, it's just like he says in the movie, it's junk food for the brain. It's just filler. And, but that's one thing he really wants to do is to get, he really wants to get, a real in-depth interview with Mickey and Mallory, and thinks that would really, really put him on the top of things. And so meanwhile, you have Mickey and Mallory, they're continuing their killing spree. And at one point, Mickey decides he wants to get a female hostage so he can rape her and torture her and all this other kind of stuff. And like I said, that was kind of the thing about this movie. For this was a studio finance movie, by Warner Brothers, right? They're Warner Brothers. And this movie shocked so many people because, nobody would have thought that a studio would have backed a movie like this. And I think a lot of people didn't think that, because Oliver Stone, he's more known for, he did 2 horror films early in his career. He did Seizure and he did The Hand with Michael Caine. But, Oliver Stone was much more known as a director of dramas. He was known for, like Platoon and Wall Street and things like that. JFK, all these biopics, stuff like Nixon. And so, a lot of people didn't think that Stone would have this kind of movie in him. And even on the interviews, sorry, my throat's a little dry. Need some blood. Anyway, so yeah, even Stone himself said, he never would have thought he had this movie in him to make. And getting back to it. So they're on their killing spree, and that, okay, so they're having arguments, and their car, runs out of gas, and so they find basically like an Indian shaman who takes them into his home, and he feeds them, and the thing is Mickey and Mallory, like, even though they are killers, they're not completely without heart. They do appreciate and understand kindness when it's given to them. And the shaman with his grandson, they're talking about they want to try to see if they can, like, basically kind of do something in the form of like an exorcism in a way. They want to try to he sees them as demons, but he wants to basically get that poison out of them. And so he tries to do a ritual, and unfortunately it goes awry because Mickey, he's freaking out, and all this stuff in his head, it freaks him out. And, on instinct, he grabs a gun and he shoots the Indian shaman. And so, and actually it's like he feels bad. He actually feels remorse for killing somebody. And Mallory is, even she's like, what did you do? What did you do? He took us into his home and he fed us. Why would you kill him? And he's like, I didn't mean to. I didn't want to kill him. So it's like, it's actually interesting to see that they have some compassion for other people. So, but they try to get away, and it turns out there's snakes all over the place, and they get bit by snakes. And so now they're really hallucinating and things are going bad. Mickey's trying to get the venom out of Mallory's bites, so he's like sucking and trying to spit out the poison and things. So they get to a pharmacy, and in the meanwhile, we're introduced to Detective Scagnetti, played by Tom Sizemore. And Tom Sizemore, he's like, that's the thing, as bad as Mickey and Mallory are in this movie, pretty much all the other characters are just as bad, if not worse. Scagnetti, he's talking about he wants to get Mickey and Mallory, and he's going to take them down and all this other kind of stuff. And even at one point, for whatever reason, he decides he wants to get in the head of Mickey and Mallory. Like, what's it like to kill somebody? So he gets a hotel room and he gets a prostitute, and, so she's a little scared. She's a little intimidated and everything else. And, so he ends up killing her, strangling her to death. And he's like, Mickey, I'm coming for you, and all this stuff. And, just brutally murdering this girl. So, because he thinks it'll help him get into their mindset. So anyway, so they get to this pharmacy, and Mickey is trying to get, some kind of medicine, some kind of serum or something that they can use that, would destroy the venom that they have from the snake bites. And the man running the pharmacy, ends up recognizing, because he's watching, the TV show with them on it. And Mickey actually ends up giving himself away by saying, "Hey, Mallory, come check this out. We're on TV." And then he's, so anyway, so yeah, he starts shooting up the place and everything. And Mickey and Mallory, they have this thing that whenever they go on a killing spree, they always leave one person alive to tell the tale. And so the guy is, the guy's like, wait a minute, I'm the only one here. I'm the only one here. And he's all like, and Mickey's all like, yeah, but you know what? If I don't kill you, what is there to talk about? So he shoots the guy down. And when he's trying to get out, he sees the police have all got in front. Scagnetti has Mallory, and he's telling her give her up. So he's taking a knife, he's cutting on Mallory's chest, and tell her, you better give up, and all this stuff. And making no, 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 and even Mallory's like, no, kill them all, and stuff. So finally, out of love for Mallory, because Scagnetti's threatening Mallory, he's all like, if you don't come out, I'm going to cut her up. I'm going to cut her tits off, so and so on. And so he finally decides, okay, yeah, I'll give up, for her. And so he gives up and he goes out and, and the funny thing is the only reporter there reporting it is, I believe it's Japanese. And she's saying all these things. Basically, she's just sexualizing Mickey. It's all she does. He's quite virile. Oh, he's got a really big pistol and stuff like that, So it's pretty funny. It's darkly funny, but. So anyway, so they go and they just, jolly stomp the hell out of Mickey. And, so then it's like we go to it's like a year or so later. And Mickey and Mallory are both in prison. And now you got the Warden, who's played by Tommy Lee Jones. And Tommy Lee Jones is, he's delightfully over the top in this movie. He's a lot of fun to watch in this. I will say that. His character is so weird, but he's so, he's so over the top. And I can't help but feel like maybe not, I don't know. But when I watch Three from Hell and I see the Warden that Jeff Daniel Phillips played in the movie, I wonder if Jeff Daniel Phillips kind of took a little bit of his character from Tommy Lee Jones from this movie. It just kind of feels that way a little bit. I could be wrong. I'm just saying, I wonder. But anyway, so now you got, the Warden. He's talking to Scagnetti, and they're talking about how, the thing is like every time, we get close, because Mickey and Mallory are now supposed to be on death row. Every time we get ready to execute these two, then they turn around, they kill somebody else. And the problem is we have to start the whole legal process all over again. And it seems like, the courts, it seems like they're kind of more about protecting the rights of the killers than they are the victims. So, so it's like, we're thinking about devising a plan where, we're going to transfer them. But what if something should happen while they're being transferred? And lo and behold, Mickey and Mallory should just happen to, encounter an accident. And then these two are gone. We have no more, no problems. These two are gone. That's it. They won't hurt anybody else. They won't kill anybody else. None of that stuff. Excuse me. So anyway, so in the meanwhile, you got like Mickey, he's sending love letters to Mallory, telling her that he wants to change, that he's trying to exorcise the demons within himself, and he's trying to make himself a better person and make himself more, relaxed and calm. And he loves her and he just wants to see her again and hold her in his arms again and things like that. And so you see that Mickey is kind of going through a transformation. For a guy who ended up at one point being a very brutal and vicious killer, now he's sorry, I'm very sorry about this. From a man who's gone from being a very brutal and vicious killer to now he's trying to really like be calm, be mellow, be more normal. And then you got, Wayne Gale, he comes in. Now he's got his chance. He's working on Mickey, trying to get them to do the interview. And Mickey's finally like, okay, let's do it. Even though, Tommy Lee Jones, he's against it at first. But then, Wayne Gale is able to, basically sweet talk Tommy Lee, the Warden, into letting him do the show because, we'll interview you and everybody will see you as a hero and all this. So he's able to kind of play to his ego. And then so the big day comes and it's like Super Bowl Sunday. So, sorry, I know this video is going long, but there's a lot of things to talk about in this movie. But so anyway, so it's Super Bowl Sunday. And so they're doing the interview and all this stuff. And basically, Mickey is kind of giving a very philosophical kind of Charles Manson-like interview. And he's talking about, the demons. He's talking about love and how love is going to defeat the demon and things like that. And but of course, at the same time, he's kind of riling up the other prisoners. And then ultimately, a prison riot breaks out, and it's just, like I said, chaos is the name of this movie. Just ultimate chaos. There's murder. There's stabbings, hangings, rapes. All kinds of stuff. Even at one point, there's like a shot of a. You watch the director's cut here. You see like people getting like one part, like a guy is getting put in an oven and cooked alive, and just just very vicious, brutal things. And so like the warden, he's going to try to deal with this. Well, Mickey ends up getting the one up on the prison guards, and he's able to take Wayne Gale and everybody hostage. And so he's like, I got to get to Mallory, and then we're going to get out of here. So he's trying to get through the prison to get to Mallory, and there's just fights and murder and just chaos everywhere, and just anarchy and all this stuff. And so meanwhile, like Wayne Gale, he's trying to film the whole thing. He's trying to just, oh man. So anyway, so they finally, in the meanwhile, you got Scagnetti. He decides he wants to have a little alone time with Mallory. And so, because he really wants to, he's got a thing for Mallory. He really wants to get with her. So he gets to her and he starts trying to chat her up. And of course, Mallory, she goes into vicious mode. And so she's, stomping on him and everything else. And just when you think that he's going to kill Mallory, here comes Mickey. They have a show off, so on and so forth. Scagnetti gets killed. And then, so anyway, so everything's still going on. The warden is trying to deal with it. And there's no dealing with this riot. It's so bad that there's nothing they can do. And, but they decide, well, the one thing we can do is we can stop Mickey and Mallory because they caused this whole thing. So they go, they catch him. And at one point, there's like, she tells, Wayne Gale, hold up his hand. He holds up his hand. She shoots his. You actually see a point of view of, the warden through the hole in his hand. So, and the funny thing is, I was like, that might sound disturbing to you, but the funny thing is, though, is like, Oliver Stone said, he put that in there because he thought it'd be funny. He thought, when they did the theatrical cut, he took shots like that out. And he thought, well, doing that, it would just, it would make it more, putting that shot in there, it would make it funnier and easier to watch. But taking it out of there, it seems like it makes it more intense and brutal. So anyway, so, they're able to get out and so on. And then, and then you got the warden, he basically, the prisoners come and they get him. And ultimately, if you watch the director's cut, he gets decapitated and they put his head on a stick. So you see like, everybody like running around with Tommy Lee Jones' head on a stick and everything else. And so, yeah, the director's cut's pretty violent, pretty gruesome. So, and then at the end of the movie, they say that the real demon really is the media, because the media has been kind of fueling them to keep going on and doing what they've been doing this whole time. And part of it is, a lot of serial killers do, and it's true, a lot of serial killers do. It's one of the reasons they kill their victims. They want to be noticed. They want that status. They want to, it's better to be infamous than just not known at all. So, but they decide, if we're, so Mickey's like, if we're ever going to have a normal life, we have to kill the demon. The demon is the media. So they end up executing Wayne Gale. And then they decide, okay, we're going to go live our lives, and that's it. And there is an alternate ending on here, which actually Mickey and Mallory kind of meet a different fate at the hands of a fellow prisoner, who actually is played by Arliss Howard from Full Metal Jacket, and he's the one who ends up helping them escape from the prison. So, yeah, but ultimately, I have to admit, I didn't care for this movie the first time I watched it, mainly just because it wasn't what I expected it to be. But then a little bit of time passed, and then I watched it again, and then again, and it started to grow on me. And ultimately, I do like this movie. Just like I said, I think that's the only problem with this film is just it really is a product of its time. It feels very dated now. But like I said, the messages and stuff still apply. It's still valid. Some of the points that Stone makes in this film about how the media glorifies serial killers and things like that. And, but yeah, I think this movie still is very, it's violent, it's vicious. And of all the things, believe it or not, well, no, not believe it or not, but, The story actually was originally written by Quentin Tarantino, and so yeah, but originally Tarantino wanted to set this up as his writing directorial debut, and it didn't work out that way. Somebody, I forgot who, but somebody else was going to direct it, but then Oliver Stone got his hands on it and decided he's going to do it. Because at first they went to him as a producer, but he decided, no, I'll direct this myself. But so yeah, apparently there was some beef with Oliver Stone and Quentin Tarantino over the years because of this movie. But ultimately, yeah, I do enjoy this movie. I think it's still, and that's basically it. I mean, the whole point of this movie is as long as we glorify serial killers, we're heading down a really bad, like Oliver Stone said, we're heading down a really dark alley. But so the problem is like, people really need to stop glorifying serial killers and things like that. But anyway, so yeah, I think I went on just about long enough. So, but I do recommend Natural Born Killers. I still think it holds up, even though, like I said, it feels more like it's definitely a '90s film. It definitely feels dated, but it's still a good watch. So, okay, I think that's it. If anybody took the time to watch all this, I thank you for doing it. I appreciate you for doing it. I honestly hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. There'll be weekly videos posted. And you know what? It's a dark night. You might want to be careful. You never know who you might run into. Maybe even me.